Leanna, this is your very first interview.
Right.
Why are you speaking out now?
It has been 2.5 years of very heartbreaking silence. Not being able to speak out for myself, not being able to speak out for my son. And it's time for me to do that. It's time for me to talk about him. It's time for me to defend his legacy.
You want to change the narrative.
Exactly.
It's a narrative that begins here, 32 years ago, deep in the Bible Belt, in the small rural city of Demopolis, Alabama, a hard-scrabble southern river town where a long day's work fishing is met with a relaxing night on the front porch.
I was raised primarily by a single mother, and I think that the strength that you acquire from watching your mother raise you by herself, it changes you, but in a good way.
Leanna says she grew up introverted but earnest.
I'm sure the people that went to high school with me would probably categorize me as the goody two-shoes, you know.
She flirts with the idea of becoming a nurse, but what matters most to Leanna, she says, is becoming a mother.
I knew that I wanted to get married, and I knew that I wanted to have children.
You wanted to be a wife and a mother.
Yeah.
At just 20 years old, part of that dream comes true when Leanna meets 23-year-old Ross Harris, a local 911 dispatcher who will become a guitarist in their local church.
Who was Ross when you met him?
The exact opposite. Outgoing, extrovert, he would talk to anybody. I think we were able to bring out each other's best parts of our personalities.
Leanna says Ross brings her out of her shell while she helps him focus on the future, inspiring him to go back to school for a business degree.
You made him want to be a better man.
I thought so.
How quickly did you fall in love with Ross?
It was pretty fast. I would say within a month, we were talking about getting married.
But friends and family are worried things between the young couple are moving a little too fast.
I knew that there were people that I was very close to in my life that were taken off guard by the relationship because we were talking about marriage so quickly.
What did you say to them when they said, "Why are you rushing this?"
I know what I'm doing. That was kind of the attitude.
Their courtship was quick, but it would take longer to start that family. When they finally decide to start trying, it's one disappointment after another.
Every month was a roller coaster. I would take a pregnancy test and bawl my eyes out because it was negative.
By now, they've moved to an Atlanta suburb where Ross is working as a web developer for Home Depot, Leanna as a dietitian. Then, finally, that roller coaster ride reaches its peak. Leanna is pregnant.
We just kind of sat on the bed like, we're gonna be parents. I'm gonna be a mom, you're gonna be a dad. This is crazy.
They welcome their son, Cooper Mills Harris, on August 2nd, 2012.
Describe that moment when you first held Cooper.
It's hard to describe that moment. It's the best feeling in the world. This little person comes into your life and changes everything.
But like so many babies, Cooper is fussy, and those early months are a blur of sleepless nights.
How was Ross in terms of being a father and helping you through those really, really tough first few months?
He was more involved than I ever anticipated him to be. He would get up and try to put him back to sleep. He did everything that I did and never complained other than the normal complaints of new parents. I'm so tired.
As Cooper approaches his second birthday, he's hitting all of his milestones and developing quite the little personality.
He was full of life, adventurous, definitely. We got quite the number of phone calls from daycare. Cooper was climbing on the table and fell over and bumped his head.
Go Cooper, go Cooper.
He was just happy all the time.
If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray!
I think that he had Ross's personality.
Leanna says father and son also share a special bond.
Cooper loved his daddy.
Absolutely.
What would he do when Ross walked in the room?
When he saw Ross, it was just like he just lit up.
That loving relationship is just one reason that all that happens next seems so unbelievable to Leanna.
June 18th, 2014, the day that would forever change your life.
It was a day like so many others. Ross was in charge of dropping Cooper off at daycare in the morning, and Leanna would plan to pick him up in the afternoon. It was typical in one other way. It's a June afternoon in Atlanta. Temperature 91 degrees.
I left work probably around 4. I had about an hour drive, got to the daycare and walked in just like I would any other day.
Security cameras capture Leanna from the moment she arrives.
The daycare teacher that was there, she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, I'm here to get Cooper. And she just kind of looked at me. She said, "Well, Cooper's not here." And I thought she was joking. I just looked at her and I was like, "No, really, where's Cooper?" And she looked me dead in the face and got my attention. She was like, "He's not here."
What did you think?
I didn't know what to think. It didn't make any sense.
Were you scared?
Absolutely, immediately.
What were the thoughts?
Did somebody take him from daycare? I think that was the first thought I had. And then the thought crossed my mind, Ross must have left him in the car.
And you said that out loud?
I said that out loud, yes.
Why did your mind go there?
Nothing else that my mind was going to made sense.
One of the daycare workers accompanies a panicked Leanna to Ross's office building.
Rode through the parking lot, did not see his car. The next place my brain went was, well, maybe Ross left him at home. Like maybe he just forgot to take him to daycare.
Was Ross a forgetful person?
Yes, he could be a forgetful person.
It's now 5:09 p.m. A breathless Leanna can't find her husband, can't reach him on the phone, and can't understand where her young son could be. Then, in the lobby of Ross's office, Leanna notices everyone fixated on the 5 o'clock news.
I noticed that the guy that rode over with me and the security guard were watching something on the TV. It was odd to me that they were so intent on it.
Leanna's phone finally rings, but it's not her husband.
I answered the phone and there was a detective on the other end. And he wanted to know where I was, and I told him. And he said, "Well, you need to stay there. We're gonna come to you." And I said, "It's bad, right?" And he said, "Yes, it's bad."
As she waits for the police, she begs that daycare worker to tell her what was going on.
He said, "All I know is we saw Ross's car on the news and they said a child had died."
A 22-month-old child died in the back parking lot here. She mentioned apparently had been in the back of a very hot car.
I think that that was the point that I started to shut down.
You went blank.
I went numb.
5:51 p.m., the detectives arrive, their conversation recorded as they deliver the worst news any parent can get.
There'll be no easy way to tell you this. Your child is deceased. I'm very sorry to have to tell you that.